Alright everyone, Pyramid here, and I'm doing something kind of different for the channel. I'm doing a movie commentary on X-Men Origins Wolverine, and I'm doing it for this one because I'm watching through all the movies again before Dark Phoenix comes out, which, depending on whatever the hell ends up happening with New Mutants, might be the last time we get to see a Fox X-Men movie. I figured I'd go through these. But to change things up this time, I decided to watch these in roughly chronological order. So I started with First Class earlier today, and this one comes second. Now the timeline's all fucked up, so it doesn't necessarily work, but or make sense or anything, and they don't all fit together. But this would roughly come after that. The bulk of this movie would. And this is the worst X-Men movie. I'm just gonna say that right off the bat. For me, it is. And it's a really tough sit, so I figured in order to keep my wits about me and actually pay attention to the movie, I'm going to do a commentary. Now, I've not done many commentaries before. Me and my buddy Jim, who now does my movie obsession, we did, years ago, we did a bunch of commentaries on, I think we got the first 5 Friday the 13th movies done. And then we did, and we did the first Tim Burton Batman movie, I think. And we might have done one other thing, and I can't remember what it is, but that old channel's been deleted. So it doesn't matter really anymore. But those were fun to do. But I haven't done commentaries in a while. But I figured since I've been doing podcasting, I can do an audio kind of thing. Now, pardon me if you get kind of breathing noises in this and me drinking water, because since it's a commentary and it has to match the timestamp of the movie, I can't really cut anything out of this one. So yeah, this is gonna be, an interesting commentary. It might be a look into me absolutely losing my mind and going insane with anger in a few places, and me just groaning and cringing throughout the whole thing. So, yeah, when you're ready to watch this, get your DVD or Blu-ray or digital copy ready, set the timestamp to 0, and press play now. Yes, the 20th Century Fox logos, which I will always associate this fanfare in my mind with Star Wars, because growing up, the 20th Century Fox fanfare and Star Wars, they're just ubiquitous, especially since it plays over the Lucasfilm logo, too, and at the beginning of a long time ago. Yes, the old Marvel film logo, which we will never see again now since Marvel Studios changed it. Well, Dark Phoenix might still have this. I don't know. I don't know what the X-Men movies are doing with the Marvel logo now. Yes, this opening. Northwest Territories, Canada, 1845. As I remember, Roger Ebert said in his review that Canada didn't technically exist in 1845, and this whole prologue here is based on the comic Wolverine Origin, which I've never read, but I kind of know what happens in it. And that takes place in 1880 something, I think. So they just arbitrarily backdated it 40 years just so they could put him in the Civil War, I guess. Yeah, this acting is... That kid playing Victor's not good performance. Now, of course, young Wolverine here is sick because, I guess it's implying that this is his mutant power manifesting for the first time. Oh, God, this dialogue is really crap. None of them have Canadian accents. Uh-oh. Now, my understanding, I've not read this comic, but my understanding of it is that it's a much more drawn-out story. And it's this whole drama that's going on between these characters, and this is sort of the middle climax of that comic. And then it goes on a little bit after that. And there's whole tons of story here they didn't adapt. Hey, they got an actor who looked like Liev Schreiber to play the dad of Sabretooth. Yeah, this is confusing if you're because I'm only vaguely aware of the story, and I can only imagine someone who's never heard of this story before. Oh, God. This has a lot of in it. You just got your ass kicked by a little kid. I don't care if he is a mutant. Hold on, I forgot to mute my phone. Oh, this is terrible exposition dialogue. And my understanding is that in the comic, that's more implied that Thomas Logan is Wolverine's real father, and that's why he took on the Logan name. I've never read it, but the kid's picture book I had based around the X-Men when I was a kid, which explained all the characters' backstories in it. I think that one's like it kind of talked around the fact that Logan was his real father. So did nobody notice that Victor Creed just had weird old lady claws? Like, did nobody notice, hey, you're kind of freaky, but this kid sprouts claws, and it's like, no, shoot him. Ugh, this dialogue. And I know the dialogue is probably not great because they were rewriting the script pages on set. Because, yeah, that's the thing with this movie. They did not have a finalized script when they were filming this. They were constantly tweaking this thing. They were getting new pages every day. So I can kind of understand why the dialogue's not polished. But even stuff like, he wasn't your father, I was, son. Ugh, it's still not good. And this opening credit scene, probably the best part of the movie. I don't know why there's Canadians fighting in the Civil War. That kind of defeats the purpose of it being a civil war. Liev Schreiber is really good as Victor, and I think if it was a better movie, he would have been... He would be better remembered. Yeah, he's a good Sabretooth, it's just the movie's not good. And oh man, this Harry Gregson Williams score is just fantastic. If you've ever seen... Oh, I can't believe it. They put Danny Houston's name over the World War I scene. The opening credits here, which is hilarious because he's in the... I'm going to turn the volume down because I'm kind of shouting right now. But, because, of course, he plays Ludendorff in Wonder Woman. So, which is a World War I set movie. Dominic Monaghan. But this whole sequence is actually really cool, and what's interesting is that this must have been one of those hasty rewrites, because this is not in the original script, because I did the podcast on Wolverine scripts a while back. This whole thing is not in the movie. Like, Wolverine isn't even that old in that. And it just opens with him and Kayla together. So this is a very different... This was all added by Skip Woods, I guess. He of both Hitman movies and Die Hard 5. Ooh. Ryan Reynolds got an and credit? That's interesting. Also, one cast note I want to mention since we're still in the opening credits. Both Taylor Kitsch and Lynn Collins, they were both in... Later, they would be in John Carter as John Carter and Deja Thoris, the Princess of Mars. Of course, shooting from a helicopter is in this because it's in Full Metal Jacket. And Wolverine stopping Sabretooth from killing people, even though he's supposed to be this cold, hard killer. Which is a problem with this movie. But yeah, those two I mentioned, they were both in John Carter, which is kind of an underrated movie. Yeah, you will hear him scream, Victor, like 15,000 times in this movie. And this whole thing of Sabretooth and Logan being brothers, that's not a comic thing. There was like a half-brother in the origin comic, but it wasn't Sabretooth. Not a bad change. I'm actually kind of okay with that. They do fuck all with it in this movie, really, because, I mean, they don't really seem like brothers. They seem diametrically opposed about absolutely everything. You never get a sense of a bond between them, is what I'm saying. Hugh Jackman, producer. I like this idea of them being executed but not dead because of their powers. I think that's kind of cool. David Benioff, the other writer, he's known now for show running Game of Thrones, and that is currently ending as I'm talking. I don't watch that show. God, that's a shitty title, X-Men Origins. Well, yeah, I don't watch it, but gotta be a step up from having your name on this, and his draft was not good. I like that the more feral of the two has a rat on his shoulder. That's kind of obvious symbolism, but it works. Danny Houston is not a bad actor. He can get kind of hammy sometimes, but he's not. The problem with this Stryker in this is that he doesn't feel anything at all like the Brian Cox Stryker. In fact, all three Strykers feel like completely different people. Like, and it's not really the actor's fault. It's just they don't put any of that character from X2 into this guy. Or I mean, he's barely in Days of Future Past, so that's passable. But in Apocalypse, it's a little like, but that feels like they shoved it in later. Oh God, Ryan Reynolds. Why is Sabretooth funnier than Wade Wilson? Seriously, these jokes are bad, and they're delivered badly, too. I know Ryan Reynolds relatively recently, he said he only took this job because they said if you want to do a Deadpool solo movie, you have to do this movie or we'll get someone else. And he says he ad-libbed all the dialogue. And so I take it he's just not trying here because Ryan Reynolds can be hilarious and he's not here. Oh God, saying up a fat joke. I like Kevin Durand. He's not used well in this movie. Mary Brandybuck. Where have you been? That was a good line. Will.i.am. Why are you in this movie? He's not bad in this, actually. Like, it's not a terrible performance. It's just, why Will.i.am? I mean, to be fair, I don't know which is worse because the Black Eyed Peas were in multiple movies this year because you have Will.i.am in this, and Taboo is in Street Fighter The Legend of Chun-Li. I don't know which is worse. Like, holy shit. Like, that's a shit sandwich right there. Yeah, this whole sequence not in the script either. You give them a mission and you don't tell them what they're supposed to do. I get classifying shit, but basic mission parameters should be a thing. And this here is sort of a passable action sequence. So, Agent Zero here, I guess his superpowers are that he is a John Woo character, basically. Like, he could be the protagonist of a John Woo movie. Or, as the case may be, a John Woo knockoff. Not a good John Woo movie, like a shitty one, like Mission Impossible 2. See, I kind of like this sequence because I like seeing all of them, like, because they all have, like, a specific function they fill during this sequence. Except for Sabretooth, who climbs a wall, and that's it. And Wolverine, who does absolutely nothing, as we'll see. He just did the fucking Bugs Bunny Elmer Fudd thing. And they played it straight. They're doing a Muzak elevator joke. Why? More bad jokes. What does that mean? So, okay, the Hobbit turns the elevator back on. Zero kills all the men on the ground. Blob kills the tank like it's Elmer Fudd. Sabretooth climbed the wall for no reason. And the Hobbit turns the elevator back on, and Deadpool takes care of these guys. So, what does Wolverine do? Why is Wolverine on this team? No reason. And this scene is ridiculous. And I've seen bits of the work print. I've not seen the leaked work print in whole, but I've seen like the blue screen and the wires and stuff. It's hilarious. This is so like, honestly, it is kind of cool, but at the same time, it's almost like try-hardy. And this is seriously like the most memorable thing to come out of this movie because Deadpool 2 made fun of it and kind of made this movie relevant again. Like, the Deadpool movies almost seem to exist just so they can make fun of this movie and give it a weird kind of relevance in retrospect. It's strange. Yeah, Wraith didn't do anything either. He just teleported behind one guy. There was so much opportunity for action with Wolverine, Sabretooth, Wraith jumping around, grabbing people and stuff. So this is where they get the adamantium. I'm guessing they're in shitty Fox Wakanda. Deadpool is the one who speaks the native language. That's interesting. I never thought of him as a polyglot. He doesn't even have Wolverine hair in this movie. It's just kind of shaggy. Yeah, this was in the middle of the bad run of Ryan Reynolds comic book movies because this is after Blade Trinity, but before Green Lantern. It's really tough to choose between all three of those, which is the worst one. You see, this is a problem with this movie because Wolverine in X-Men 2, there's this whole thing about how, like, you were always an animal, Wolverine, blah, blah, blah. And it's implied that he was not a very nice guy. And yet here, he's just kind of the same dude he is in the other movies. And so it kind of takes away from the ending of X-Men 2 where he just gives up on learning about his past. Which the other movies, he sort of gets his memories back, kind of, and that kind of lessens X-Men 2. But it's not as blatant as this. Dude, Schreiber's got good intensity to him here. Just. Yeah, he keeps screaming. He screams Jimmy like 5 times in this scene. It's the I Will Find Him of the X-Men movies, although not quite as ridiculous. Jimmy! Jimmy, if you're watching this. Jimmy! Shout out to my movie obsession. Jimmy! That looks like a set. Like that doesn't look like a set. That looks like topiaries outside someone's house. That's not a jungle. And that's what, 3 years later? 6 years later, okay. In the Canadian Rockies, which is what, thousands of miles worth of territory. And he lives on. This looks like the mountain Jackie Chan climbs up in Shanghai Noon when Owen Wilson sends him in the wrong direction. Like, is Jackie Chan just like standing on a mountain away from Hugh Jackman going, hey, help? And there she is, Deja Thoris, Princess of Mars. She's not a bad actress, it's just a lame character she has to play here. Yeah, Wolverine doesn't have Wolverine hair in this. He has 70s hair. Which, okay, yeah, this is kind of. It's a little ambiguous, but I think it's meant to be kind of late 70s ish because of the 3 Mile Island thing later on. But I think they could maybe compromise it a little more to make him look like a 70s version of Wolverine. And yes, Wolverine's a lumberjack. He is the brawny man. And he brings his own equipment with him, apparently. Does the insurance cover that? Did you need both an axe and a chainsaw? That's a little excess. I don't know anything about lumberjacking. Yeah, so basically, the script pretty much introduces Logan there, but it's a little bit differently written. There's a different flashback and stuff like that. Oh, this woman. That is Adelaide Clemens, who was Heather in Silent Hill Revelation. Yes, I know. I like her. I don't like that movie. It's a stupid movie I can sit through and laugh at. I like her in that movie. Oh god, that is a goofy outfit, man. But he is in the carnival. And the reason why she's in this movie is probably because she's Australian and they filmed this in Sydney, I think. Now, interestingly, this circus, this carnival thing was in the original script, but there was no Team X thing, and he wasn't like an electricity guy. He's called Beak, and he's basically a mutant whose power is that he looks like a bird. And for what I understand, this guy was actually cast as Beak, and then they just decided not to, I guess, because I guess they figured, well, if we're doing Team X, what the hell is Beak gonna do on Team X? Peck at him? Get shot and killed? And I talk about the script, and I talk about it just because that's what I'm always talking about. That's kind of my default mode. But it's interesting to talk about here because in that script, Logan and Victor had no history together whatsoever. He was just a guy who shows up and kills Kayla. Which is kind of different from what Wolverine usually is, because they do have hundreds of years of history, but it was generally further back, I think, in the comics. I'm not hugely familiar. Like, there is like a Silver Fox character, but I think it's further back in history when that thing happened. I think I know why they cast Mary Brandy Buck here. Is because they needed somebody who was able to make Liev Schreiber look taller. Man, the fingernails look different in almost every scene. Like sometimes they're thinner, sometimes they're wider. I'm just noticing that now. Yeah, in the script, like Victor is just a mutant serial killer who shows up and is targeting other mutants. And then you find out, oh, he's working for Stryker, really, blah blah blah. But there's no backstory between him and Logan. Also, the draft I have is a David Benioff draft with revisions by David Ayer. And so I guess we're just lucky that Sabretooth doesn't have Feral tattooed across his forehead. Also, he mentioned, Wade's gone here. That's the last time we hear about Ryan Reynolds until much, much later. I should mention the bone claws. Are They're a thing from the comics, but they're kind of a retcon for the movies because you look at his X-rays in X-Men 1, and it looks like it's like a device, like a mechanical device that's in his arms that makes the claws pop out. And and so adding the bone claws in is and also in X2 Stryker says, "You always an animal, Wolverine. I just gave you claws." That was a terrible Brian Cox impersonation. I'm sorry. Man, all this romantic stuff is just ugh. It's way too sappy. Ugh. That is a terrible line. And what's sad is that some of the really bad lines in this movie are still there in that early draft, and some worse ones that didn't make it into the movie. Like this scene's pretty close, except it was at his cabin, I think, in the script. This whole scene is like weirdly. It's like someone said, let's do Commando with Wolverine, only nowhere near as fun. Because this is totally just the scene from Commando of Kirby showing up and going, someone's been killing your old teammates. It's like, come, join me again. It's like, no, fuck off. And then almost as soon as he leaves, things go bad again. This movie is like a lot of action movies just mashed together and not as good. In fact, that is not that photo in the paper. That was a still frame of the scene we just saw. Wow. I'm floored by that. You couldn't set him up in a different space and take a picture of him? Was Barry Brandybuck's schedule that full? An actual good line. I like the I'm Canadian line. That's really funny. All this I know who you are stuff just doesn't work when we didn't see him do anything really bad. He just kind of stood by and watched. Oh, the elementary school is in the movie. I read that in the. It's been a while since I've seen this. Yeah, there's an elementary school scene in the script. Like, I don't remember school, but yeah, it's here. Oh, he wants to be a daddy. I don't want to see Wolverine the father. Or is that just foreshadowing a much better movie in Logan where he gets to be an asshole dad? Wait, you told her all about this stuff? Dude, what you do best is sit around and watch other people do stuff. You can return again. Oh, this scene. Clumsy foreshadowing the scene. Yeah, for a dude who's supposedly an animal, like he is really nice and sensitive and patient and everything. Also, I want to say a Deus Deacon, people parking in the middle of the road, not necessarily blocking it, but just being a nuisance, that happens. I don't know about Canada, but it definitely happens here. You know how they could have made that exposition work a little better? Have her get kind of smiley and semi-flirtatious or something to give him like a reason to make it seem like there could be a logical reason for him to respond to what she's doing or listen to her or do what she says. Instead, it's just kind of like, well, she touched him and then he just randomly got out of the way so he could foreshadow something from later. Man, they found every pretty shot of a mountain they could find and shot it. It must be a bitch to get back and forth from this cabin. Ugh, this scene. I do not need a detailed origin story for the name Wolverine. Less so one this sappy. Is this a real like Native American folk tale or something? Because part of me wants to say it is, another part of me wants to call it bullshit that they made up, but I'm not sure, so I won't say either way. He is so disinterested in this scene. I love Hugh Jackman. He is great as Wolverine. He is one of those. He's right up there with guys like Christopher Reeve as Superman and Chris Evans as Captain America, where he is that character for me in a lot of ways. But that scene, like that line reading, that could be a funny line. Like it's dumb, but delivered right, that could be funny, and that was just flat. I should mention the director on this. I forgot to mention this during the opening credits. Gavin Hood, who directed some dramas I've not seen, like some kind of like real serious dramatic movies, and Jackman liked those enough that he handpicked him. And I don't know if he was just the wrong guy for this, or if this was just the script was bad, so there was no inspiration here. But I saw his later movie Ender's Game, which I honestly didn't mind, which I know is controversial to say that on the internet, but I honestly didn't mind that movie. But this, not well directed. Like, there's nothing really inspired about this direction. Like, it feels really bland. Did Sabretooth go kill a bear and leave its head there and mark the trees just to fuck with Logan? That's some petty shit. See, they look different here too, and his hands are dirty and stuff. Well, that could be dried blood. But you wouldn't know because this movie's PG-13. Okay, so we had the Commando recruitment scene, and we're about to get the Rambo 2 love interest death scene. Only way goofier, and that's saying something because Rambo 2 is a very fun movie, which I enjoy, but it's also very goofy. They basically do that scene here, only just so cheese. He screwed up his paint job, too. Sabretooth is a dick. Yeah, this is just like the Kobow scene in Rambo 2. No. Okay, she's not really dead. If you haven't seen this movie, I don't know why you're listening to this, but she's not really dead. How does he not notice that there's no wound? I get she's like covered in blood and stuff, so that would maybe throw off his super smell. And there he goes, which was supposed to be in. And they cut away to the trees, which makes it funnier. But that was supposed to be in Rambo 2, but then they cut it out. That was really, they cut away from that really quick. They didn't let you linger on the emotional moment there. That's not a bad line there. Okay, what kind of bar is this? It looks like it's in a barn. Yeah, this looks like it's like in someone's stables for some reason. Like even the bar itself looks like it's this is a cheap fucking set. And I know Deus Deacon already said this in his review, but why is there a southern dude in Canada? It's not impossible. So he's a whiny little bitch of abandonment issues. Is that really it? I mean, until we get the twist later on, the air quotes twist later on. And this is a decent fight scene. I can say this for the movie. Yeah, I do like Liev Schreiber as Sabretooth. It would have been nice if he could like grown his hair out a little more for this. Yeah, the editing's not great. The choreography's good. The editing's not great. I swear I've heard that line in like 15 different action movies. Yeah, this is like almost like a weird, like straight to video Steven Seagal movie. Well, honestly, this is better. As much as I don't like this movie, Steven Seagal movies, the straight to video ones are way worse. Speaking of Shanghai Noon, we got freaking logs getting dropped. I was not expecting to find this many parallels to Shanghai Noon. Or was that to reference the Final Destination 2? Worth what? And that truck just keeps on driving, I think. Wow, what an asshole. He just hit a dude and he's not coming back. Weirdly enough, that scene of him stomping the claws is like you see a split second of that in Days of Future Past for some reason. Also, what's weird is that in the script and in the video game, he stomps both sets of claws. And I'm not sure if that's meant to say like his bone claws got stomped off and that's why they were able to put in like the metal claws that don't look like his bone claws. I mean, is that what they were saying? I don't know. Yeah, Stryker, his whole thing with his son from X-Men 2 gets token references in this movie. And they put a little crosspin on his lapel because Stryker in the comics was a priest. Or a minister or a reverend or whatever. Why they do this here, I don't know. It really doesn't mean anything in the context of the movie because he's not religious at all from what we can see in the movies. This is such a convoluted plan to get him to volunteer for the procedure. This dialogue is trying so hard to sound cool, and it just isn't. That's not bad. Cheesy, but not bad. Here we go, 37 minutes into the movie, and we're getting to Weapon X. Now, this looks nothing like Alkali Lake in X-Men 2. Once again, music good. Yeah, did the cliffs just erode away between X-Men 2 and between this movie and X-Men 2? I want to know. I have a theory for why that waterfall is here. We'll get to that in a minute. Why they put it on top of a waterfall. Yeah, and suddenly he's strapped into the machine. Now I'm wondering, is this meant to be Carol Hines from the comics? Because she's in the script, but I'm not sure if this is actually supposed to be her in the movie. Yeah, this looks... Oh, this line. What does that mean? Why are you explaining this to him? He should have explained this to him before he strapped him to the table. I mean, yeah, but he never is an animal in this movie. Did they seriously just stop the operation in their tracks so they could go make him a dog tag? And why wouldn't you figure the dog tag shit out before you strap him to the table? Yeah, this looks nothing. Oh, there's the dam in the background. Okay. Did someone not send the general a memo? This scene is just so crap. Because X-Men 2 does this so well, is so dark and nightmarish and horrific, and here it's just so not that. And the set looks completely different from the set next to. Like, it doesn't look anything like it. That drill looked like it was already in his nose on the X-ray. Cut to stock footage. That's the way to do it. Maybe that guy's meant to be Cornelius. I wonder. Yeah, this is what, 5 minutes, if that. He's on the table. No, I think it's actually even less. Like, the actual process is like 2 minutes long. Shameful, because I've actually read Weapon X and that has some horrific shit. This is just crap. And it's not crap because it's different. It's crap because it's crap. Like, it's like there's no. It doesn't look that painful. It just seems so underwhelming to what you would expect, especially with all this, we have to destroy you and you'll feel more pain than any man can endure. It's like, that? That's it? Yeah, guys, he's not actually dead. You're not fooling anyone. Where's the champagne? There was champagne in X-Men 2. Where was those people in weird masks? Also, Stryker was wearing glasses and had a beard in those flashbacks. Sorry, I'm nitpicking. This movie has no reason to exist. Sorry. X-Men 2 did Weapon X so much better. Everybody knows this, yet I'm still saying it for some reason. It's like they didn't even show the set designers X-Men 2 and they just let them do their own thing. How does he hear that? I mean, even with good hearing, if you're underwater, you shouldn't be able to hear shit. Okay, he says that they're going to erase his memory, yet they don't say how they're going to do that. Oh, God, those claws look bad. Also, I should say, X-Men 2 says... I mean, the first X-Men... It's speculated that the bonding process, the trauma of it, is what triggered his amnesia. Also, he was shot in the head in X-Men 2 and he passed out. Wow, this editing is terrible. Like, it's just cutting and, like, blurring out for... Ugh. Yeah, that's the door. It looks different from the... Oh, okay. Here's why they added the waterfall to his escape door, so we could do this scene, which is probably my mother's favorite scene in this movie, but that's a tangent. Yeah, Weapon X, there's so much potential for a story there, and they just do fuck all with it. It's literally like... It's less than 10 minutes of this movie. That's crazy. Because we just established that bullets work so well against him. Oh boy, here it turns into a non-union Canadian Superman. With fucking Ma and Pa Kent. They're called James and Heather Hudson, but I'm pretty sure they're completely different characters in the comics. I've not read that stuff myself. I just know they exist. It's like they saw every mountain they wanted to film and filmed it. Yeah, it's Ma and Pa Kent. Are they going to find Logan and then tell him that he should just let a school bus full of children drown? I'm curious. Not all who wander are lost. Subtle. It's Bigfoot. And this movie tries to be funny and fails. I don't know why. This guy kind of reminds me of Roy Scheider, like old Roy Scheider for some reason. Like, I know it's not him, but he reminds me of him, especially in Punisher. Ha, he's an old person, so he thinks everything has to do with drugs. He doesn't want his wife to be jealous. That's what he's really upset about. Oh boy, this scene. We just went from body horror to horrible special effects and a terrible comic relief scene. Wow, that looks like something you'd see in like... Oh, like this looked bad at the time. And it looks worse now. Oh no, he broke stuff. The first Amazing Spider-Man movie does basically this same joke with him breaking stuff with his new powers, but does it way better, and it's actually funny. It's not cringy like this. Like him accidentally smashing his alarm clock, kind of funny. This, not. Oh, so I thought honestly remembered like that not having any consequences, but okay, he does mention it to them. Okay, we're almost 50 minutes into this movie, and he has not shown interest in motorcycles at all before now. Oh, wow, they take him in, but they make him sleep in the barn. Oh, no, not this. Oh, fuck. Wolverine is all sad and heartsick. Hugh, if you want to sell intense sadness, you gotta do more than just sit there and look at the floor. He finds it. I swear that line is in like a million other movies. You know, him having to piece himself back together again from, getting destroyed by what Weapon X did to him, that could be a good movie. Like Weapon X should either be like the end, like somewhere it should be like the end of the movie or the beginning of a movie. Not him escaping Weapon X should be the end or the beginning of a movie. It shouldn't be the middle. And that's his jacket from the other movies, and that's gonna not make sense later. Ugh. Yeah, this whole thing about them having a dead son and them dressing him up in his clothes is really creepy to me for some reason. Also, this whole kind farmer family that Wolverine runs into and then they die. I swear Logan did that on purpose just as a fuck you to this movie because Logan took this kind of crappy scene and did it so much better and made you actually care about those people and made that scene mean something. This is just stupid. Okay, that's cool. This action scene is like one of the better parts of the movie. It's actually not bad. Yeah, I don't know why they did that. There was conveniently a hill just high enough for him to leap into a helicopter. So he's a sharpshooter and he can fly a helicopter. Wow, that was a terrible CGI muzzle flare. And of course, Wolverine doesn't wear a helmet. Well, he doesn't need to wear a helmet, but still. Not so good at keeping a low profile, is he? But yeah, this is some pretty cool bike stunts and stuff. Like, well, not really stunts, but like some cool motorcycle stuff. It's not. Let's just say I've seen worse motorcycle stuff and superhero things. I've seen the Reb Brown Captain America TV movie where they think it's thrilling just to have him ride a motorcycle in a straight line for 5 minutes straight. As a 90-minute TV movie where it takes him 70 minutes to get in the costume and like 5 minutes of the movie is him riding a motorcycle in a straight line. It's stupid. But it's worse than this movie. This movie's better than that, and that's saying something. Is that supposed to be like him braking? Because motorcycles have brakes. They have a foot brake and a hand brake, so you can do that kind of turn if you're good with a motorcycle. But he's Wolverine, we gotta make him look cool. Wow, he has the powers of Leatherface from Texas Chainsaw 3D, because Leatherface in that movie is somehow able to make cars flip over just by cutting them a little bit. How did he do that? It's over the top and silly, but it is a pretty good action scene. If the movie was just silly action nonsense like this throughout it, wouldn't be so bad. It would be dumb and it wouldn't necessarily be good, but it would be a lot more sit throughable than just this. Ugh, that so much of it is. Like if you had more shit like that, that would be cool. Like just Wolverine fighting army dudes and stuff like that would be kind of cool. But no, we don't get that. Now, is this one of the things they reshot? Because supposedly there were reshoots to add more action into the movie. Because I know it's a somewhat different action scene in the script. Go fuck yourself. He kind of does the southern accent there a little bit, but it comes and goes in the movie. I've been noticing that this watch. And we hardly knew them. Now, why would you do that? Why would you piss off the guy who can so easily kill you? This bit here is really silly and kind of cheesy, but it's kind of cool him walking away from an explosion. It's kind of cool in a stupid way. Oh no, the bullets. Notice they put in a line saying Stryker didn't have these, just so they could justify why he didn't have the bullets. If you could make adamantium bullets, why wouldn't you give them to the sharpshooter? I mean, unless you only make them in one size for that ridiculous gun. Is that guy somebody? He looks kind of familiar. Like that tech kind of looked like maybe a character actor or something. Oh, fuck. God, what a bitch. I mean, I know you're not supposed to wear sunglasses in school and that, but Cyclops in the comics, a doctor made those for him. Like, they're a medical thing. Yes, Will I Am, who thinks tonight's going to be a good night. I don't think he ever takes that hat off. Yeah, this is them trying to paper over the crap, show not tell the fact that I mean, they're trying to tell not show the fact that Victor has abandonment issues because they couldn't be bothered to dramatize any of that. Damn it, John. Honestly, if Will.i.am worked on his acting a little bit more, he wouldn't be. He would be a fairly decent performer. Like he's not awful here. I mean, he's a crazy dude in real life, but and he's made some good songs. He's made some really shit songs too. They didn't bother with the claws in this movie. Wow, it's a Michael Bay movie, which is better than this. Wait, Rodriguez? Is that Rodriguez and Espinoza? That's referencing somebody, I think. Oh God. It's Fat Bastard from Austin Powers, everybody. Get in my belly. How do you make that mistake? How do you say fat instead of Fred? Wow, that's. Maybe Blob just should not be in live action. That's a bad fat suit, man. It reminds me of the sumo suits from The Office. Ray Perez, is that referencing George Perez by any chance? Did he do any X-Men stuff? I don't think so. He just fucking like belly bumped him across. How do you first off, how do you make the mistake Bub for Blob? And he never says Bub in this movie. He says it that one time. Okay, I like that line. Big old ass coming out of his shirt. Yeah, that's a good banter there. I like that. Why is there a boxing match in the middle of this movie? Why would Wolverine waste his time doing this shit? This scene was, if anything, even more ridiculous in that original script because it wasn't in the boxing club. It was in a grocery store, and he was just eating everything in sight. And Wolverine is like, they're like throwing food at each other in the fight. It's really silly. Like Wolverine like smacks a piece of cabbage like a baseball bat. Yeah, why wouldn't Wolverine just be like, I'm gonna fuck you up with my claws if you don't talk to me? Why would he bother with the boxing match? Because I mean, he clearly doesn't like the dude. Oh, he's off in let's tie into other X-Men movies for no reason land. That's where Victor is. And Scott Summers here is doing his best Bart Simpson impersonation. Ah, yes, Victor, the strong, careful hunter is giving his presence away to his prey for no reason. Also, of any X-Men character you could put into this movie for a tie-in, why Cyclops? Is this is this trying to placate the people who were upset by Cyclops dying early in Last Stand? And by the way, his eye beams are not lasers. They push things really hard. They don't burn them. Ooh, shocking twist. Yeah, I don't think that would actually placate the Cyclops fans, all five of them. Okay, why didn't Will.i.am tell him that? Because they were hunting mutants together, obviously for Stryker. Those sequences are weirdly cut together. Yeah, and that deal is really silly. Would it make more sense to play out that hallway scene, then cut back to the boxing gym and have Blob say Snow he's working with Stryker to just to underline the twist? I think that would work better from an editing standpoint. Okay, if he was never at the prison, how does he know this? How does he know Stryker is taking? Okay, he might know that because of the hunting stuff, but yeah, wait a minute, they were all hunting mutants because Wraith said he was hunting mutants and he feels bad about it. Why couldn't Wraith just give him this information and cut the Blob bullshit out? Do we really need yet another mutant cameo? Yeah, they cut from Vegas to New Orleans like that. No time passing. God, people get out of the street. Use the damn sidewalk. Yeah, I think this is one of the cameos that pissed people off because Gambit is way more popular than I initially realized. And he's not a guy I know a whole lot about. And there's John Carter of Mars. Well, not of Mars because Disney thought Mars wouldn't sell. That was that a meta joke? He says, "I'm not gonna get in the fight." He goes, "Yeah, right." Like he knows Wolverine is gonna fight this guy because that's what people expect. Like they expect a Wolverine versus Gambit matchup. I actually don't mind Taylor Kitsch here. He gets a little shaky in a few places, but I think that's more the direction. Also, Gambit, a character who was recently supposed to have his own spin-off with Channing Tatum playing him, and that basically got thrown off because this was just recently mentioned by the director Rupert Wyatt. It got thrown off course because Fant Forstick bombed and Fox didn't want to spend money on another movie. I will say this: the teleportation effects of Wraith not as good as X2, but not bad. Your creepy black coat don't scare me. Is that a pedophile joke? I like the skull effect. That's cool. Also, him getting called Gambit because he would gamble with the guards. If you're gambling with the guards, no wonder he escaped. That's a bat. That's a dumb pun. You're predictable, and I predicted your movements. So he has this line about I actually don't mind he didn't know you had one line referring to his spine, but he's implying that Wraith is a coward, but all we get was that he didn't like the stuff he was doing for Stryker. Like, he didn't like the mutant hunting thing. And there isn't enough setup for him being a coward. I mean, that's just kind of eh. And of course, Gambit throwing cards because that's what he does. And Wraith is dead. Why he needed to be in the movie? No reason. So if you can kill them and steal the powers, why is he catching a bunch of them alive? I mean, I know you need to catch Wolverine alive, but why catch anyone else alive? Wow, that's a very disrespectful way to treat Gambit. So shiny, they almost look fake. Not like that line. That's a good one. You see, there is some decent. Oh, the all fours running is pretty silly. There's good silly and bad silly, and that was kind of bad silly for me. That CGI hand, wow. And suddenly Gambit is like a million miles away on the rooftop. What the fuck? Okay, I need to ask, can Gambit use his staff like a helicopter in the comics? I don't think I've ever seen that before. I mean, anywhere other than this movie. Dude, why are you getting involved? Let the two figure out their issues. Yeah. He did the fuck you thing, which was funnier in X-Men 1. I mean, this isn't a bad fight, it's just pointless. I don't even want to know how that works. He's just doing flips and acrobatic stuff because that's what Gambit does, and because we have to shove Gambit into this movie to placate the people who. Why is he cutting the ladder? That you already broke the fire escape, dude. Yeah, it's just to placate the people who are complaining that Gambit wasn't in the regular X-Men movies, so they shoved him in here. And he serves no purpose. Like, this could be anybody. This could be Bob, who lives down the hall. It could literally just be a dude named Bob he meets in a bar who points him in the right direction. You know, he doesn't seem terribly broken up about his old buddy Wraith getting killed. Yeah, and there's Stryker Jr. from X2, and apparently he's in a block of ice. And I guess he was thawed out at some point between now and X2. I don't. You stole that line from Blade. All their strength and none of their weaknesses. You stole that line from Blade. There's Ryan Reynolds again. They said he was dead earlier, but he's not. Why are the people in blocks of ice in the same room as the lab? Shouldn't you organize stuff better than that? that all these token references to his kid and his wife doesn't need to be here. Like, it feels real. It should be here, because that's a big important part of Stryker's character in X-Men 2. But the way it's done in this is just random. Like, it's just shoved in there, like, at the last minute. Okay, he stabs the guy and kills him. Okay, in the original script that I read, he poisons him and makes it look like a heart attack, which is... Also, this is the second time they show it in this movie, but I think it's the first time... This is the first movie where he's airsick. Or where he's afraid of flying. Yeah, this 3 Mile Island thing is not in the script. Instead, it takes longer for Logan to find out that Victor was working for Stryker, and when he does, he heads back to Alkali Lake. And that's where the climax is, and there's this whole secret part of the base where the 11 is, which isn't Deadpool, by the way. And also him jumping into the river here is kind of funny, considering in Days of Future Past he falls in the water and almost dies. And what they're doing with 3 Mile Island here is interesting because it makes it feel like it's a prototype for the later X-Men movies, because it's kind of doing the historical in-joke thing that First Class would do in Days of Future Past, and Apocalypse to a lesser extent. Just it's not as good. It feels kind of like a dry run for that. Also, here's a bunch of fan service 30-second mutant cameos in the background. I think we're going to see some of those. Okay, well, I don't think we see all those. We see those yet. We don't see those yet. It's been a while since I've seen these movie. Since I've seen this movie. Stairs! Whole Kate stairs! Endgame joke, and no, that was not a spoiler. It's not going to make any sense unless you see the movie, so I don't count it. Yeah, these guys have the masks. Where were these during the Weapon X scene? I'm calling bullshit. Ugh. That is silly way of trying to justify the code name. Yeah, that's not what Weapon 11 is in the script. I don't know if there is a Weapon 11 in the comics, but in the script it's like it's like 1,000 or something clones of Victor, and they have the adamantium skeleton, which I think and the idea is that it's an army designed to commit genocide on mutants, which is very Stryker. But this is just, meh. Oh, shocking reveal. Victor fucking creeping. What a convoluted ruse just to get the skeleton on him. Yeah, there's not even, like, any holes in her clothing. How did he not notice that? Ugh, that was kind of on the nose. Credit to your species, aka credit to your race. It's called a hand job. So much shit has happened. We are only 79 minutes into this movie. That is crazy. Well, 80 minutes now. How is this movie only an hour 47? Stop with the sappy bullshit. I think I know what they're doing there. I think they're riffing on that thing from Pulp Fiction where Sam Jackson says, No, I thought I was the wrath, but no, you're the weak, and I am the tyranny of evil men." It's not nearly as good as that scene in Pulp Fiction. No, it's not even good, let alone nearly as good as Pulp Fiction. And you can tell they thought that that was some profound shit that they were writing, and it's not. Now, in the script, this is Alkali Lake, and they actually have like a brainwashing memory stealing device. And he actually like lets them strap him into it because he's so distraught, but it doesn't work. And so the bullets are like a backup thing, which it's still stupid, but I prefer the bullets as a backup. You know, Stryker, you shouldn't make deals with people if you're not prepared to keep them. Okay, so here Victor's motivation is he wants the adamantium, but he's not strong enough to survive the operation. Yet, what was with the first half of this movie and the insistence that Sabretooth is just too strong for Logan to hurt? Like, Logan can't possibly get him unless he gets the adamantium, and now we're hearing that Wolverine's actually stronger? Can you keep your own bullshit consistent, movie? Isn't that convenient? That pose! Okay, yeah, you need to work on the growling, Hugh. Not good. He sounds like a kid going, Urgh. You don't sound animalistic, you just sound goofy. That's not a good face. Was that the best take of his facial expression they could find? He looks like he's constipated. Yeah, but he never was an animal. He doesn't have anything to overcome. Constipation face. We spent all this movie on a revenge kick, and he doesn't kill him because we need him alive for the original X-Men. If this even is supposed to be the same character, I'm not sure. You see, you could have done something really cool here, like paralleling the two brothers. One's a little bit more is bad, but he still has something of a conscience, and the other one just becomes more and more of an animal. You could have really done something with that relationship, but it's just nothing. Okay, so they were putting Wade Wilson, who, by the way, that shot of Ryan Reynolds on the operating table, last time you see Ryan Reynolds in this. They were putting him through the bonding process, so you don't need that ridiculous machine at Alkali Lake, you just need a table and some needles. God, he even has his hands taped up like a fucking Mortal Kombat character. Yeah, we get a bunch of cameos here. Including, I think that's supposed to be Quicksilver. That's Quicksilver with the white hair. And I know some people will go, "Oh, continuity. This doesn't make a whole lot of sense." But it's like, who cares about 30-second Easter eggs and cameos? And that looks really goofy. Like, him running in a straight line with his hands out is not as cool as I think it is. It's like a less cool version of Jack Burton shooting the cages open in Big Trouble in Little China. And yes, Kayla's sister is Emma Frost for some reason, and no, I don't care that they contradict this in First Class. She's nothing like Emma Frost other than the diamond thing. Wow, you forgave her very easily. Stop thinking with little Logan. Okay, how is he seeing through his eyes? How? Oh, by the way, this is shot almost exactly like Darth Maul's entrance near the end of Phantom Menace. Yeah, okay, Weapon 11 or Deadpool, who's not really Deadpool, he's no longer Ryan Reynolds. He's actually Scott Adkins, who is a really underrated action guy nowadays. Like, he's stuck doing kind of direct to video stuff, but he's actually really cool. I like Scott Adkins, and it's such a shame that he's in this. And they put like a diamond scar around his eye because Deadpool's costume has diamonds. But yeah, this is wrong, and it's not really Deadpool. And everybody points this out, so I'm not going to linger on it. It's bullshit. It's bullshit, everyone knows it, but I'm well past being angry about this, and but it's just not something I really want to dwell on in this commentary, just because it's something people always talk about in regards to this movie. Everybody knows this. Yeah, the diamond effect looks. Honestly, people make fun of the effect in First Class. I think it looks better. Yeah, like, I mean, people compare Weapon 11 here to Baraka, and and he's even doing like weird Mortal Kombat combo moves. I mean, he totally is just Baraka without the teeth. Does she actually accomplish anything by staying behind other than getting killed? It's like, I mean, yeah, she keeps Stryker from shooting Wolverine one more time, but he already shot him. Follow your nose, as Gandalf would say. By the way, if you've not seen Deus Deacon's review of this, watch it. He has one of his most hilarious jokes is in that scene when the blind guy starts giving them instructions. I like that sound effect. It's not the Nightcrawler bamf, but it's pretty cool. See, this is not a bad fight scene. The green screen is not good, but honestly, it's an okay fight scene. Like, that's what this movie has going for it, is some okay action scenes. And Jackman's all right. Liev Schreiber's a good Victor. Action movie cliche number 452. This is an interesting sort of high concept action scene fighting on top of a cooling tower. So, okay, Deadpool in the comics, I should mention, he can teleport, but it's not an innate ability. He has like a machine that does it. And I know in the video game they put a ridiculously long cooldown on it. And if you hit the button before the cooldown, you're like, I can't teleport yet. And he starts whining. It's pretty funny. You see, Cyclops is in this movie purely so Deadpool can have eye beams and so they can do the collapsing cooling tower thing. Yeah, that wouldn't work. Why isn't it going between his claws? Or is it now not? Or is it now a percussive blast and not a laser? Apparently, that's a button mashing thing in the video game. So, okay, was he able to cut his head off because they didn't finish the bonding process? Is that what we're supposed to get from this? That his spine wasn't, his neck wasn't adamantiumized? Is that what we're supposed to get from that? Because it's not explained. I mean, is his skull adamantium? So there are miles. There's these really long underground tunnels on an island. Would that even work? Okay, not gonna lie, that is a pretty cool gun. I like revolvers. Revolvers are just cool. And I know what that sounds like. More than enough bullets to kill anything that moves. How? He says that like he knows for sure. Like he's not even speculating or saying, I'm going to hit a particular part of his brain. He's saying, I know for sure if I shoot him in the head, his memories will go away. Yes, he totally needed your help climbing up 2 feet of concrete. Yeah, and that's the last we see of him in this movie. Yeah, I'm kind of curious. Back when this was still pretty much canon, I mean, it still sort of is because they show bits of it in Future Past, and there's like an audio clip from it in the Wolverine. Like, what was the story with Sabretooth between movies? I'm honestly, I honestly would like to know. Not that I give a shit about anything in this movie, but I'm just curious. No, nobody missed you. Where was he this whole time? Like, he could have been useful during the fight. To be fair, I don't know what's worse. What's the worst Taylor Kitsch thing he's been in? It's either this, Battleship, or True Detective Season 2. That's really saying something. And about the 3 Mile Island thing, I want to say what they're probably trying to do in this is saying that this is the secret history behind what really happened during the 3 Mile Island incident. But actually, but of course, there was no cooling tower collapse there or anything. And there were people on the Marvel at Fox subreddit I was reading where they actually were speculating about it. And they actually had like they probably put way more thought into this premise than the writers did, because they said, well, they say that they're hiding here because of the radiation, and so maybe they were saying they hid here after the incident and people were paranoid about it, so they wouldn't come poking around. And so this takes place after the actual incident. Like, there's way more thought put into that by those people than by the people who wrote it. That is a horrendous green screen. Holy shit. He looks like he's going to walk into it if he walks any further. When you try and sneak up closer so you can get a more clear headshot, because that's what you want, instead of wasting all of your bullets. Convenient ramp. Ugh. Oh, no, wait, I was wrong. Literally, all she accomplished was making Stryker walk away and not shoot her, even though she was still gonna die. Wait a minute, did he shoot her or was she already wounded? She was already wounded. So Stryker didn't even kill her. Also, that was his character poster, by the way, him pointing the gun. I remember that. I just had a thought. He fired 5 shots there, didn't he? So there's only one bullet left in that gun. Is that the adamantium bullet that Wolverine has in Logan? I'm that's blowing my mind if that's actually the case. By the way, the adamantium bullet's also something Logan did probably as a fuck you to this movie and did better. Oh god, horrible green screen again. Like you can see the fucking lines where it goes from. Oh no, this effect. Oh, this is horrible. This is one of the worst special effects I've ever seen. Jesus. Wow. How does that look worse than the de-aging effects did in The Last Stand, and that was 3 years before this? I take back everything I said about Jeff Bridges in Tron Legacy. Yeah, they look like they're going to run smack into the green screen if they run any further. About Jeff Bridges in Tron Legacy, he looks so much better than Patrick Stewart does here. Okay, if there were holes in the adamantium, wouldn't that have shown up on his X-ray in X-Men 1? Does it say Logan on the other side? I've never noticed that before. Wait a minute, that's also something they referenced in Logan. Holy shit. Because that was on the poster to Logan. Logan referenced this movie a shitload and basically said, fuck you. So he doubled back for Wolverine. I guess Xavier just left these two here. Man, Xavier's a dick. Creepy CGI Eggman Xavier is a bastard. I guess Gambit went, well, I can't leave my plane. You know what? I honestly don't mind Taylor Kitsch here. If he was in a better movie, like a proper X-Men 4, as like a new member of the team or something, and you had like a decent director and a decent script, I think he would have been okay. This moment is I have to say, as much as I think a lot of this movie, this whole relationship thing is sappy, this moment actually kind of works. Like Hugh Jackman kind of brings it here. That's another thing I have to say about this movie is that Hugh Jackman is visibly aged in this compared to say X-Men 1, and it is inconsistent that he looks older before, but I actually like the fact he looks like I think him aging like that, he like the more sort of rugged face he has, I think works better for the character. And he's always been great as Wolverine, but I think just the way his face changed, I think that's just a better look for Wolverine. Oh god, the cheesy zoom out. No. They must have loved that zoom out from Wolverine on the veranda at the end of Last Stand, because this is basically how the Last Stand ended. Was Wolverine walks out onto like the terrace or whatever and looks up into the sky, and the helicopter shot pulls away from him. So nobody saw Stryker crossing that bridge. So that's the movie before we get to the post-credit scene. It's a piece of shit, but sitting here and talking about it actually was probably one of the more enjoyable experiences I've had with this movie. Because, okay, I was 17 when this movie came out. Jesus Christ, that was a long time ago. And I enjoyed it then as a dumb teenager, but it's a movie I grew to hate over the years. Watching it here, just kind of venting and just bitching about it and riffing on it the whole time has been one of the more enjoyable experiences I've had. Yeah, this scene. This is a complete fuck up in terms of connecting the X-Men too. So he's suspected of murder, and somehow he's okay in time for the X-Men 2. Like he somehow clears his name. It's a small thing, but meh. I don't get it. So yeah, here we go. What is this music? What is this? Yeah, Weapon 11, Scott Adkins. He was also in Doctor Strange, interestingly enough. But yeah, that was actually one of several post-credit scenes. There was like three of them, and they played randomly depending on what theater you saw it at. I think if I remember correctly, because I got that one. I didn't get the Deadpool one when I saw it, and I didn't get the Japanese bar one either. I don't know if that's going to be on the disc. If it's going to be on this copy of it. But yeah, this movie, it's just not good. Like this is definitely a studio movie. Like this is the movie designed to sell merchandise, sell tickets, hold on to the rights for a little bit longer. There's no real passion behind it, no real drive. I just realized there is nearly 10 minutes of closing credits on this movie. That is ridiculous. Like there was like 5 minutes left, and it's been going for a while already. But yeah, this is a movie which Hugh Jackman, this was never the movie he wanted to make. He wanted to immediately go and do the Japan story, but Tom Rothman said, no, do an origin film. And it became X-Men Origins Wolverine, the first of a sub-franchise that never happened. And it's just so obviously a film made by committee. Oh, we gotta put these mutants in for marketing and merchandising purposes, and we gotta have Hugh Jackman be likable as Wolverine, so we can't have him be like an animal or a killer or anything, even though we keep saying he is in the whole movie. And Deadpool's really popular right now thanks to that crappy Daniel Way version, so let's put him in the movie but not actually put Deadpool in the movie. And people are bitching about Gambit not being in the first three X-Men movies, so let's throw him in there. And Cyclops, people didn't like how he was handled in the movies, so let's put him in here. both of which pleased nobody, I'm pretty sure. And Will.i.am wants to be in the movies, so let's give him this random character. And let's put whose idea was it to put Blob in this movie? I mean, it was in that Beanie Off an Air script, but like, I mean, was there someone at the studio who was like, we really want Blob in this movie? And whose idea was it to make it into a boxing match? Like, that's just, huh? That almost felt like like that whole Superman Lives thing Kevin Smith talks about, where it's like you have an action beat every 10 pages. But yeah, the movie's just a mess. And it has no reason to exist. In fact, well, it had no reason to exist. But then the Deadpool movies, they reference it so much and make fun of it so much that it's almost required viewing to get the jokes. Like, especially Deadpool 2. Like, Deadpool 2 has quite a few, has at least two very specific nods to this movie where it's just ripping the ever-loving shit out of it. Like, the sword swinging scene and the closing credits scene was like, nobody's gonna know what that means unless they're aware of this movie, or they've seen it, or they're aware of its reputation. New Zealand unit, that's why those mountains look so picturesque. It's because they were Middle-earth mountains. But yeah, the movie's a mess, and it's interesting because it came out at this rather unique kind of time for comic book movies, because the comic book movie boom of the early 2000s that X-Men and Spider-Man kind of kicked off, honestly, I think by this point it would have kind of wound down more. But this is like in 2009, which is right after the Marvel Cinematic Universe started and would go on to change everything. It hadn't quite changed everything yet. That was Avengers that really solidified that. But this is a year after Iron Man and Incredible Hulk. So the seeds for, you know, what we have now, which just culminated in Endgame, that was already started, and this was just kind of like sandwiched in between, because 2009 was the year that Marvel Studios skipped, and I think I wish they would kind of maybe do that one more time, but you know, that's just me. So yeah, 2009, very strange time, because DC wasn't really doing shit, I mean, outside of Batman, and because I mean, Green Lantern wasn't out yet, they hadn't started working on Superman yet, none of the DCEU stuff. Oh, this one has the Deadpool scene. Okay, because yeah, it was. I'm pretty sure this was randomized in the theaters. That's so lame. And so they didn't even bother putting the Japanese bar on this. Oh, that's crap. It is a really crap fucking scene, which looks like they filmed it in somebody's garage, and it doesn't even really connect to the Wolverine at all. But it's Wolverine in a Japanese bar taking shots, and it's all shot in close up with him and the bartender. And she asks if he's drinking to forget. He goes, "I drink to remember," and that's it. But okay, so X-Men Origins Wolverine, that was the commentary. Hopefully, this was a good commentary, and I wasn't crap in it. And this has gone well beyond the actual running time of the movie at this point. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Maybe I'll do this with a movie or two down the line. Like, I'm not going to do all the X-Men movies, but there's something I can really talk about that I'm knowledgeable about. Like, I've thought about doing a Punisher Warzone commentary and just ripping the shit out of every little thing that gets wrong in it. But yeah, until whatever you end up doing next time, guys, bye.